Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as we're now on the road to 500 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. If you love sports content, sports talk, anything from the NFL to the NBA, it's all right here on the Talk of the Town podcast. And I hope you all are having a great Tuesday afternoon so far. Wherever you live at, whether it's the afternoon, morning, nighttime, wherever. I know for me, it's been a bit of a kind of a procrastinating kind of day. I stayed up decently late last night, of course, watching the college football championship, which that was a hell of a game right there. Down to the wire, Carson Beck throwing that interception there at the end. Fernando Mendoza sealing, which already was his number one overall pick spot with the Raiders, making one of the most iconic plays in Indiana football history last night. So we'll dive into that more towards the end of the video. But I got a notification last night around 12:30 a.m.-ish, and I seen Robert Saleh finalized a deal to be the head coach for the Tennessee Titans. And I was pretty shocked. I was seeing all day yesterday, really, that Matt Nagy, it was looking like almost, it's going to be like 100% that he was going to be the next Tennessee Titans head coach. And I seen Kansas City sign Eric Bieniemy as their next offensive coordinator. So I was like, okay, there's no doubt he's going to Tennessee. And now saying that he's not going there, I'm assuming he's going to be getting a head coaching job somewhere else, because I can't imagine he would just be gone from Kansas City if he knew that he wasn't going to, or if he knew that he wasn't going to get a head coaching job somewhere. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm pretty interested. I think he'll end up getting a job somewhere. There's still a decent amount of jobs open. I don't know if he's going to get one of the premier jobs like Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. I don't know if he'll necessarily get one of those. I think he'll be in the running for it, but whether he's the coach of the Raiders or wherever, I think he'll just still get a job somewhere. But Saleh to the Titans, I just did not see that coming, and I don't know if I really like the fit. I thought he was more due for a team. I'm trying to think of the word that was just more prepared, more ready to win than more of a kind of a developmental team. And that's what the Titans are. The Titans aren't even close to winning right now. And I know you see the Commanders last year, the Patriots this year, hell, even the Jags. You see teams that are like, they can flip around in one season. And technically that's true. If the Titans do go and they make some big splashes in the offseason, and Cam Ward really takes that next leap into being a next-level quarterback, maybe they could go win 9 or 10 games. I do think Robert Saleh is, of course, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, and I think he is going to make a really great head coach, but I just don't know if it's going to be for the Tennessee Titans. And unfortunately for him, he's still incredibly young. I mean, you compare him to some of these coaches that have been coaching around the league. You've seen Pete Carroll this year with the Raiders, and he was like the oldest coach in the NFL. He may have been the oldest coach in NFL history. I know he was one of them, but I know he was currently the oldest coach coaching this season. And so Saleh, again, what kind of worries me is, like, if this stint doesn't work out, of course he's going to get a chance as being a defensive coordinator somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers gave him a third stint, because they love the guy. I said yesterday, if Kyle Shanahan could offer him a $60 million 10-year contract to be the DC there for the next 10 years, he'd do it in a heartbeat. But of course, would he do it? Probably not, especially if he's a hot candidate to be a head coach, which clearly he is. Just one of my concerns, like I mentioned, is I don't know if he's the guy I want to develop Cam Ward and really take this organization forward. Now, of course, he's going to be great for the defense. I'm expecting the Tennessee Titans defense to take a big leap, which in turn is going to help Cam Ward, because that defense stunk. I mean, actually, the Tennessee defense over the last couple of years with Mike Vrabel, but of course now since he's been gone, actually has been a pretty good defense. They've been a really underrated defense, should I say. They haven't necessarily been, to the level, let's say, Houston, Denver, those kind of teams were this season, but, in previous years. But they have been a pretty good defense, and they just took a dramatic leap back this season. So I'm expecting them to get a lot better, of course. They should have a decent bit of cap space. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm assuming they will. They have a rookie quarterback. Before that, you weren't really paying a quarterback anyway. You had Tannehill, you drafted Will Levis, so they've been searching for a quarterback forever, really. And that's kind of one of the things that hinders teams is when you're paying a quarterback a shit ton of money and he's not playing well, Kyler Murray, etc., Tua Tagovailoa, those guys, that's what's really straps a team back. So I'm sure, kind of like New England, some of these teams, Washington a few years ago, you go out, it's looking like they have their quarterback of the future, the way Cam Ward was playing towards the end of the season this year. He looked really good, looked a lot more poised, and the team was just all around playing better around them. So I think Saleh is a culture builder kind of guy. He was one of my favorites to be like, hey, he's a kind of coach that should step in to the Ravens, that should step into the Bills, the Steelers. Even though the Steelers in terms of, being there for a long time, having stability at the head coaching spot, is them and the Ravens are kind of just one of one in the league, to be honest with you. The Steelers have had like two head coaches my entire life. And really, I mean, our parents' lives, however old you are, whether you're 50 years old watching this or whatever, there hasn't been very many coaches. The Ravens haven't been around that long. They've been around since really the late 90s, but they've only ever had three head coaches. So those are premier spots. And I thought that to me was the best spot for Robert Saleh. Now I get it. Maybe I don't know if any of those teams would have hired him. Maybe he felt like it wasn't really coming to be. Again, those are hot spots. You're stepping into Buffalo. You have a former MVP quarterback who is still in his prime, coming off one of, if not his worst playoff game in his career. You have Lamar Jackson, a multiple-time MVP, dealing with some injuries this year, but all around a stable organization for really their entire lifespan as an organization. And even Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, an old, expensive defense, but if you're a head coach, they clearly aren't afraid to go make big splashes. They know they have an older roster, TJ Watt, Jalen Ramsey. They went out, they made all these big splashes, but don't have shit to show for it. So I'm feeling like the Rooney family, though they're desperate. They'd still go out there, even, they traded their second-round pick for DK Metcalf, gave him a bag. They'd still go out there and find a way to make their head coach happy. They're gonna do it with whoever is the next head coach for the Steelers organization. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. But speaking of curious, I'm very curious to see how Robert Saleh's stint goes with the Titans. They have L'Jarius Sneed. I'm just trying to think of some of the players. They have him to a lot of money. He should be better, especially if they go out. They surround some pieces there. I know a lot of people have been talking about Sneed. A lot of people don't really talk about the Titans, but just within the media about how he's taken a step back from his Kansas City days. Should they look at cutting him, moving off, whatever it is? When there's no one else surrounding him, you got to think about the guys that were next to him in Kansas City. Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, with some McDuffie next to him. When you have these guys next to him, it boosts his play, for one. I mean, all around the field. But when he's like really their only good defender, probably besides Jeffrey Simmons, there's just not much there to be had, really. Of course, he's not going to look great because the entirety of the defense isn't very good. He doesn't have a good supporting cast. The same can be said with the quarterback in Cam Ward. If you don't have a good supporting cast, it's just not going to make you look good. So I'm expecting him to take a big leap this year as well, especially under Saleh. So the only thing that really worries me with this hire, like I mentioned, is he the guy to bring in to develop Cam Ward? Because that's your main focus right now for the Titans. I get it. You see these other teams, like I mentioned, the Commanders, Patriots, Jags, the Broncos over the last couple of years. They've just been in quarterback purgatory since Peyton Manning and just below mediocrity. Now they're good again out of nowhere. You hire the right coach, things can turn around fast. And I think Saleh could be the guy for that. I'm not looking at his New York Jets stint. One of the things with his New York Jets stint is the Jets, let's say their success rate for head coaches over, let's just say since Rex Ryan and even before Rex Ryan, I mean, he's really their last successful head coach I can really think of, is little to none. And really, even though he didn't make the playoffs, he didn't win any playoff games, I thought he was actually kind of decently successful compared to, just seeing what he had. Zach Wilson, Mike White, Aaron Rodgers goes out for 3 snaps and, tears his ACL and whatever in his leg. And that was that. And he comes back. Saleh gets fired after 3 games. And, I didn't necessarily think that was the right move. They were like 1-2 when they fired him, like 2-3 when they fired him. And, their season went to hell after that. I think they won 2 or 3 more games all year. But I'm not taking his Jets stint serious. But if I were him, again, like I said earlier, maybe he kind of had a feeling he wasn't going to get one of those premier jobs like Baltimore, who they're interviewing a lot of guys coming in for second interviews today. Weaver, apparently Jesse Minter, who seems like the favorite to get the job there. So maybe he figures he wasn't going to get that. Buffalo, I don't know what they're doing. Apparently they're kind of picky in their search right now. But they like defensive head coaches. You've seen it with Sean McDermott, but maybe they're looking to move to the offensive side of the ball, especially seeing the way they built their receiving group, and their trades they made on the offensive side of the ball hasn't really worked. So maybe they're looking at an offensive head coach. He just says, hey, the Titans are offering me a lot of money. I'm taking it, and I got a young quarterback to work with, a lot of money in the offseason. A division that isn't so weak anymore. Indianapolis was better than everyone thought. The Jags came out of nowhere. Houston's defense is a real problem. Saleh could match those guys like a D'Amico Ryans, like a Liam Cohen, even though their offensive side of the ball, Steichen and stuff like that. But Saleh is just that level of guy that can kind of match their coaching ability. I do believe he is a great coach. And I think if they can hire a good offensive coordinator and good personnel all around to be besides Cam Ward to help him develop, which is their main focus, if I were them, I'd be looking to develop him more than looking to get 10, 11 wins this year. If you can boost up from 4 wins, 3, 4, 5 wins, whatever they had this season to go up to 8, Cam Ward looks great. And you're like, hey, we got a lot of money to spend. We're still drafting decently high. Next year, we're going to go out. We're going to turn this into a 11, 12 win operation in the matter of a year or two under Saleh. It could happen. I think that's their best way of building things. And the Calvin Ridley just seems like a waste of money. Again, the thing is with the Titans that's funny about them to me is that they spent all this money on guys like Hopkins, Julio Jones a few years ago to try and replace A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley. Right now they're paying him an ass load of money to try and replace A.J. Brown, which they could have probably gotten for cheaper, which they definitely would have gotten for cheaper than what they paid these 3 guys. And it's a 10 times better receiver than that has been a 10 times better receiver on the Eagles than any of these guys have been on the Titans. So I just think that's funny, but I do like the hire. I think he is a culture builder, but I think they're going to have to put good offensive personnel around him. I hope he makes the right hires. The Titans organization does the right thing. Do I trust them to do that? Not really, especially after seeing the Vrabel firing, what they've kind of done afterwards. It's been a bit of a circus, but I don't think they're afraid to spend money. So the Titans could look very different next year. But I don't think this is going to be a turnaround kind of thing. I would have liked to see Saleh better in Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, just kind of any of those others. Hell, even Cleveland, really, to be honest with you. I think Cleveland has more to work with. You got Myles Garrett. I would have probably liked to see him better there than really Tennessee, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. I do think he is will be a great head coach. Hopefully for Tennessee, if he does get a third stint, maybe somewhere else, we'll have to figure it out. So Miami and Indiana last night in the college football championship, 21-27, Indiana gets the win. Their first natty win. It was a hell of a game last night. Now, I will say this before I talk about the game. I love the college football playoffs, and I really do like college football. Now, anyone who knows me knows I am an NFL guy. I'm an NBA guy before college football. This time of year for just football in general, college and the NFL, is just my favorite time of year for sports in general. Usually yesterday we seen the national championship is right around wild card divisional weekend, heading into the AFC, NFC championship games. And it's just fantastic. It's like we got all of this content just all the time, weekends, Mondays, whatever it is. It's great. And one of the things that's made it hard for me to get into college football is just the NIL stuff, just some of the, the shady kind of deals that go on in the back. People love it. It's just they say compared to the NFL, which is true, not even they say, just kind of my own analysis as well. It's just a lot more of a lively place. It's not quite as buttoned up and professional. Of course, it's a professional operation, but it's college kids going around partying, beers, tailgating. A lot of the adults, whether or not they went there to school, they love it. Alumni from 30 years ago or whatever. It's just a lively atmosphere. It's more lively, more immature than the NFL is, and people love that. And I understand that. And I like it as well. You know, me being young and stuff like that, and going to college, I love that kind of just. I'm not necessarily the biggest partier in the world, but it's fun. College football is just a lot of fun. I love having fun. So, you know, I get it. But I just like the way the NFL is just a lot more kind of buttoned up. Just I don't necessarily want to say more serious, but it is more serious than college football. I think just Carson Beck is an example of a guy playing last night who he said he graduated 2 years ago. Hasn't taken a class in 2 years, yet he's still playing college football. Like, I can't take it 100% serious if that's the kind of shit that's going on. You can always look in the NFL, you can look and it's like, well, so-and-so is playing for this. He's stuck for years, this and that, but he's still a kind of a professional level. He is a professional level athlete at the end of the day. And sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But that I can't, that just drives me off a wall, dude. Like, that drives me nuts, to be honest with you. So, love college football, but if you're kind of wondering why I haven't talked about it quite as much on this channel, I'm just not quite as into it as I am the NFL and the NBA and stuff like that. So, but this time of year, again, like watching it last night, I enjoyed the game so much last night. Indiana, dude, Mendoza, how great is it for him to be living the dream right now? Indiana has really just kind of been a really irrelevant college for forever, really. I mean, I don't know who had Indiana winning the college football championship this year. I don't think anybody did. And going against Miami and Carson Beck, who went there and signed for a couple $1 million. They were hoping they were going to bring it home for them. And you look at Miami's talent-wise, and here's the one thing with Indiana I will say is people say, oh, how did Indiana win? You look at their talent compared to Miami, Alabama. I think they're a lot more talented than people think. And their head coach is a big reason for that. I always say one of the biggest things with head coaches, and what I was mentioning with Robert Saleh a few minutes ago, is the culture you bring. He is an ultimate head culture, a culture kind of guy for a head coach. He is the kind of guy you want to lead your college, whether or not he was coaching a NFL team. It'd be the same way. Like, that's the guy I want leading the charge and bringing these guys out on the field. So congrats to Indiana winning last night. One of the things I love seeing with that is, like, I love an underdog story just as much as the next guy. Like the Patriots this year, even though I am a Patriots fan, seeing the Jags, just the Commanders last year, the list goes on and on of teams that just, you look and it's like, you really think they stand no chance at the beginning of the season, or hey, they might be a little better. Everyone kind of expected the Patriots, the Jags to be a little better. They built a solid foundation, but it's like no one thought of them as like the Chiefs, Buffalo, Baltimore, Philadelphia. Like, no one thought of them as those kind of tier of teams. And now you look and it's like those teams have been eliminated for weeks now. And guess who's alive? New England. You know, even Denver. Like, people took Denver serious, but it was like, are they really good enough to take over Kansas City? Even the Chargers, like, are they quite that good enough yet? A lot of people didn't think so at the beginning of the season. So I love a good underdog story. And that's what Indiana's felt like. You see some of the powerhouses in college football with the NIL deals and the money and stuff like that. Michigan, even though they're not quite as good as they were with Harbaugh, they're still paying a lot. Bryce Underwood, their quarterback, I mean, they're paying him just a ton of money. Like, guys that are in the NFL, like, he's getting paid more than, in terms of being a backup third string quarterback. He's getting paid more than those guys. And, you know, or Alabama, Georgia, those kind of schools. And you look at Indiana as now the champion of it. I love those kind of stories. And I think that brings a lot of hope for kind of just those teams that are like, well, you look, and the thing is with college football is you look and it's all about talent. Like, we can come in, we can try our hardest, but you know, our team, you look at Georgia, those guys on the offensive line and the defensive line are 3 inches bigger than our guys, can run a second faster and just bulldoze everybody over. Like, they are just bigger, stronger, and faster than we are. And at the end of the day, we can't do anything about it. And I thought Indiana, well, I thought their talent has been kind of undervalued over this season. They do have some NFL prospects, including the biggest one being the number 1 overall pick in the draft, which definitely helps a lot when you have a Heisman winning quarterback on your team. It can kind of make a lot of stuff go away. But I think it was an all-around effort from those guys. And Cignetti just has done an amazing job with that Indiana program. Seeing them win last night, Mendoza, I thought that was one of the more iconic moments. Of course, I think it's the most iconic moment in the program's history. Nonetheless, I think it is in college football history, one of the biggest moments. I mean, that run on 4th and 5 into the end zone, he should have went down 5-6 yards before he got in the end zone, and he's just taking tacklers. That's someone who goes out there and is legitimately goes out there and plays for their team. He's not playing for money. He's not playing for this, and that's why I think the Raiders got a good one. And unfortunately for Mendoza, he's living the dream today. He is. He's out there. He's he won the college football championship last night. Probably the best night of his life so far in his young career. Today, probably the best morning and afternoon of his life so far. He's probably getting a ton of texts from professionals all over, just everywhere. Every walks of life, he's getting texts, just everywhere. It says celebrating him and his name, and he's getting ready to be picked number 1 overall in the draft in a few months. But with that, and talking about the draft, comes in about less than 3 months, he's going to be a Las Vegas Raider, and where it's going to live in the dream today and for the next couple of months, when he is suited up in that jersey, it is going to be a living nightmare. Like, it is going to turn so fast, and this time next year, he may end up turning the Las Vegas Raiders around. Look, Mark Davis is a desperate dude in terms of the Raiders. And I think he's going to do whatever it takes to try to get Mendoza around him, or to build the right pieces around Mendoza. But it's going to be tough. I mean, that organization is just kind of a dumpster fire. Max Crosby, who knows if he's going to want to play there. Their offense is it's a lot further away than just having a receiver and a left tackle. Like, it needs an all-around rebuild, like bad. And you look at a lot of these teams that are kind of on the rise, and the Las Vegas, it's an attractive destination because of where they're at. But if you got players who legitimately want to win, they're not going to go to Las Vegas. And they don't even have a head coach yet. I mean, I don't know who they're going to hire, Matt Nagy. And you look, and it's like, he didn't really develop Trubisky that well. They did have some winning seasons. He won Coach of the Year in Chicago, but I don't know if I trust him. Kansas City was kind of running him out of the building, to be honest with you. The fans were sick of him, the way he ran the scheme with Patrick Mahomes. People were like, he can't even make Pat Mahomes in this offense looks good or look good. It's just been a disaster. So I don't know. This kid, congrats to him. He's living the dream, but in a few months, he's about to be literally in a living nightmare for the Raiders, which I find funny. But for Miami, Cristobal, I think that team will be good for a while. He's a great head coach. It's become an attractive destination again. University of Miami has kind of fallen into just kind of that mediocrity trap. They haven't fallen into being one of those low-tier schools, but they have not nearly been what they were years and years ago with Ray Lewis. Of course, you have multiple NFL Hall of Famers on that team, but even still, you don't necessarily need to have a ton of NFL future Hall of Famers on your team to just be relevant. I mean, how many guys on that Indiana team this year are going to be future Hall of Famers? They'll be lucky if they get one, So Carson Beck, I think one of the things for him is that interception at the end of the game. And I'd say University of Miami has more NFL talent than Indiana does. But, Tony, he's going to go in the first round somewhere, whether it's high or mid. He rose his draft stock a ton last night. Carson Beck, I know people may slam him and kind of in the University of Miami for going after Carson Beck, being like, we paid this guy $4 or $5 million to come here and quarterback for our team, and he goes out there if there's a game-losing interception, yet this and that. I don't think they are where they are without Carson Beck, and just that experience he brings. Look, one of the things that I mentioned it earlier in the video that bothers me is he hasn't taken a class in 2 years, and somehow he's still playing college football. And he should have came out of the draft, or he should have came to the NFL draft when he was going to be the consensus number 1 overall pick in the draft. That's what kind of scares me with Dante Moore, to be honest with you. It's like, he was going to go, I know you don't want to go to the Jets, dude, but you're going to be like a top 5 pick in the draft. Someone may end up trading up to get you. You never even know. And you have a lot of teams that are kind of looking for some QBs, some QB help at least, and you're right there. And you never know what could happen. You go out there, you get a leg injury, an arm injury, or you don't have to get injured. You just don't play as well anymore. And anything could happen. And next thing you know, you're a 5th round pick. And That's where Carson Beck is likely going to end up at. Now, I know people are saying with his draft stock, well, you look at Beck, you look at his age, people aren't going to take him in the first, second, third round. He'll probably be a fourth, fifth round pick. I do say in terms of the age, I don't think that matters. Look at Tyler Shuck this year out of Louisville, and I think Carson Beck is a lot better of a prospect than Tyler Shuck was. So I wouldn't be surprised if a team trades up later in the first round, kind of like a Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart was going to be a day 2 pick, round 2, round 3 kind of pick. And next you know, the Giants going to trade up to get him in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised that happens to Carson Beck at all. The quarterback inflation is massive. So you just, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened at all. But I thought he's had a great college career. The University of Miami, I thought they had a really good season. Going from Cam Ward to Carson Beck, look, they're going to be an attractive destination for quarterbacks, for players in general. It looks like they're kind of producing elite NFL talent again. Not calling Carson Beck elite NFL talent by any stretch, but guys like Tony and Ruben Bain and stuff like that, they have some really good players on that team. So I just thought it was more about Indiana and the culture they build, just having that chip on their shoulder. That's what they played all season and in the championship game last night. It's just with that chip on their shoulder. Mendoza the same way. He's like, I want to be the number 1 pick in the draft, but I'm not even worried about that because I'm going to win it with this damn team. That's what he was worried about above all. And you've seen it in his play yesterday and that iconic touchdown run on 4th and 5. So congrats to Indiana. Miami will be fine going forward. So yeah, that's about all I got today, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the video today. And per usual, everyone, take it easy.